So over the years, I have had hundreds of people ask me, quite literally hundreds of people, Jeff, how do we plant a digital church? And unfortunately, they're not interested in putting in the work. They want the formula. They want the quick solution, 4 easy steps to plant a digital church. And unfortunately, it's not that easy. And it requires a little work. And so instead of 4 easy steps, which is what you probably want as you're watching this video, I'm going to give you a framework. It's not a formula where you just plug and play. It's a framework that you've got to contextualize. And we call this the digital missionary framework. We talk about it being a flywheel where it multiplies. But the fact is that we encourage people, and here's the overarching view. We encourage people to connect with others digitally. And with the people we're connecting with digitally, we want to invite them into a community to build trust, to establish relationships. Evangelism, discipleship happens best in community. We see that time and time again. And through that discipleship, we get to the place of not just bringing them to Christ, but helping these individuals discover what God is calling them to do, and then equipping them for that purpose. How can we help people find what God is calling for them to do, and then mobilize them, send them out, and hold them accountable to do it? Connect, community, equip, and mobilize. That right there is the framework. Now let's start to unpack this a little bit. So we're connecting with people digitally. This is like blogs. This is social media. This is YouTube videos. This is stream. If you're a virtual reality, this is walking around in world. You are connecting with people. Now, connections are usually shallow and superficial, and I don't mean that rudely. The technology often doesn't allow for depth. It's hard to have a two-way conversation on TikTok, on Twitch. It's hard to really get into an in-depth conversation on Facebook through a Facebook wall discussion. And so it's more than just using the software at a connection level, but we want to get to the place where we invite people into a community to live the one another's of the Bible, to get to build trust, to establish these relationships that give you the opportunity to share Jesus, not just casting seed, on the proverbial thorny bush and the rocky path, but to be able to intentionally work the soil digitally so that soil is more receptive, and so that God can do more with the work that we have in place. We see this more so time and time again. The digital churches that are successful, it's not just connection. There's also a community attached. So much so, like if you are connecting with people and you don't have a community, well, at the large part, your ministry is pointless. It's powerless. What are you trying to do? Why are you trying to connect with people if you don't have a community in place to strengthen the relationship? Moving a step beyond that, if your church has community and you are not at the place of equipping people to understand God's calling, well, then what's the point? Why go through all the power? Why go through all the effort of getting people to understand and be part of your community to help them discover who Jesus is, without taking that next step in helping them discover what Jesus is calling them to do? Like, why go through the effort if you're not going to go to the next step? And I would argue that if we are equipping people without even going through the effort of holding them accountable, without mobilizing them, without sending them out and checking in on them, well, that's just being reckless. We're pouring all this effort into helping them discover what God's calling them to do, and it's like, okay, hey, have a nice life, see you later. I mean, it was funny. I was on a stream the other day, and I was like, it's kind of like teaching somebody to shoot a machine gun and then tell them, hey, have a nice life. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, we need to be more accountable for the people that we're doing. And so what it doesn't look like to plant a digital church in 4 not so easy steps. Get connected with people, invite them into a community where you're going to build trust, establish relationships, share Jesus, disciple to the point of equipping them to do what God is calling them to do, and then mobilizing them and sending them out to do it. Not so easy, but definitely doable.